It's time to sit down, grab a coffee, and dive into the chaos that's gripping South Africa. This isn't just another video, it's a wake-up call. A slap in the face to a system that's been failing the people of South Africa for way too long. I'm going to take you deep into the cesspool of crime, corruption, and a government that's fumbled the ball so badly it's practically in another continent. And yeah, I'm going to talk about Judge Mabel Jansen, a white South African woman who spoke her truth and got burned at the stake for it, while the real criminals, those tearing up South Africa's streets and those lounging in fancy government offices, keep skating free. Buckle up, because this is going to be raw, real, and loaded with the truth nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to. Let's kick off with a cold, hard reality. South Africa is hemorrhaging. Its streets are war zones, its homes are under siege, and its future, it's looking like a dystopian nightmare. The latest crime stats don't just paint a grim picture, they scream it. South Africa's third quarter crime report for 2024-25, covering October to December 2024, recorded 6,953 murders. That's about 77 people killed every single day. Sexual offenses, including rape, saw 13,452 cases reported in the first quarter of 2024-25, with 9,309 rapes alone, averaging around 100 rapes daily. Carjackings, home invasions, kidnappings, the numbers are relentless. And let's not sugarcoat it. The majority of these violent crimes are committed by black perpetrators. Data consistently shows that black South Africans, making up roughly 80% of the population, account for over 85% of arrests for violent crimes like murder, rape, and robbery. This isn't prejudice. It's raw data. Uncomfortable, undeniable data. Now hold up before you start typing that angry comment. I'm not saying every black South African is a criminal. That's nonsense. But when you've got a crime tsunami this massive and the stats point to a clear pattern, pretending it doesn't exist is like ignoring a fire in South Africa's living room. Something's gone catastrophically wrong in its society. And it's not the fault of white South Africans who are just trying to keep their heads above water in a country that feels like it's out to get them. Enter Judge Mabel Jansen. Back in 2016, this white South African High Court judge, with decades of courtroom experience, got herself into hot water over some private Facebook messages leaked by activist Gillian Shute. Jansen said things like rape and violent crime were embedded in black culture and that gang rapes were a pleasurable pastime for some black men. Blunt? Yeah, it's offensive. But let's not act like she was just making it up. Jansen wasn't some random troll. She was a judge who'd seen the darkest corners of human behavior. She claimed 99% of her criminal cases involved black men raping kids as young as 5. Hyperbole? Probably. But when you're wading through a flood of brutal cases day after day, it's not hard to see how a white South African like her could snap and say something reckless. The fallout was like a wildfire. The ANC Women's League branded her remarks purely racist. The Black Lawyers Association demanded her scalp, calling for a review of her past rulings. The Judicial Service Commission slapped her on special leave, and a petition to boot her out racked up thousands of signatures in hours. By May 2017, she resigned, her career in ruins, her name dragged through the mud, all for daring to voice what she saw in her courtroom. Meanwhile, the actual crisis, the runaway crime she was pointing at, got conveniently ignored. Classic South Africa, torch the messenger, forget the message. Here's the thing, Jansen wasn't off base about the crime epidemic. South Africa's rape crisis is among the worst globally. A 2022 study found that 9.8% of women nationally had experienced sexual violence in their lifetime, with many cases going unreported. The first quarter of 2024-25 reported a 0.6% increase in rapes compared to the previous year. Farm attacks, which hit white South Africans hardest, are another ugly truth. Over 500 farm attacks annually were reported. though only one farm owner murder was verified in the third quarter of 2024-25, showing disputes over numbers. Still, the fear is real. 70 murders in farm attacks last year mean white South African families are living in constant terror. These aren't just stats, they're shattered lives. And who's answering for this? Nobody. The ANC's been running the show for 31 years, and what's the scorecard? A wrecked economy, collapsing infrastructure, and a crime rate that makes South Africa the murder capital of the world. Billions of rands were siphoned off. Money that could have rebuilt its police force, schools and hospitals. Instead, it's funding lavish lifestyles for the connected few, while white South Africans alongside others scrape by. Unemployment's at 33% nationally, with youth unemployment hitting 45.5% in early 2024. Load shedding? Mismanagement means South Africans are still stuck with rolling blackouts, costing the economy 900 million rands a day. This isn't governance, it's a slow-motion train wreck. White South Africans are in a lose-lose bind. Speak out about crime, and you're a racist. Stay quiet, and you're abandoning your own survival. We're taxed to prop up a failing state, while being told our suffering is just apartheid's legacy. Come on, apartheid ended in 1994. That's a generation ago. How long are people going to milk that excuse? While the ANC run South Africa into the ground, white South Africans aren't calling the shots anymore. The ANC is. And they've turned a land of promise into a haven for thugs and thieves. The hypocrisy burns. Jansen's comments were slammed as hate speech, but nobody blinks when politicians chant "kill the Boer" or EFF leaders talk about cutting the throat of whiteness. Double standards? You bet. It's like South Africa's decided only certain groups get to be offended, and white South Africans just have to eat it. Well, I'm done with that garbage. It's time to call it like it is. South Africa is crumbling, and the folks in charge are either incompetent or in on the take. So, what now? South Africa can't keep pretending it's all gonna magically fix itself while the country goes up in flames. It needs a government that puts law and order first, not press conferences and broken promises. It needs cops who show up when you call, not ones shaking people down for bribes. It needs a justice system that keeps rapists and killers behind bars, not one that spits them back out to terrorize South Africans. And yeah, it needs to talk about crime and culture without being gagged by the woke police. This isn't about race, it's about survival. Black, white, Indian-colored, South Africans are all stuck in this nightmare together. But they can't fix it if they're too busy tearing each other apart, while the real villains, the criminals and the corrupt, laugh all the way to the bank. Judge Mabel Jansen might have said it clumsily, but she wasn't wrong to call out the darkness. The question is, do South Africans have the guts to do the same? Alright. Folks, that's my piece. If you're as pissed off as I am about what's happening in South Africa, here's how you can help. Join my channel membership to keep this truth train rolling. Drop a super thanks donation if you're feeling generous. Let the ads play for at least 30 seconds. It keeps the lights on. And most importantly, subscribe, like, share, and hit the comments. Tell me what's on your mind. Is South Africa too soft on crime? Is its government a lost cause? Let's get this debate fired up, because South Africa deserves better than this. Until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and keep fighting for the truth. Peace out.